I'll start with some positive things, just because I've been watching what you do, and although I have some critiques, I just wanted to commend you first for the bipartisan work that you've done with Representative Steve Pierce on Border Patrol oversight. This idea that they can waive your civil liberties, your Bill of Rights, just because you're within 100 miles of the border is wrong and un-American, and I want to commend you for your work on that. I also want to say thank you for voting in favor of the Massey Amendment. Outstanding work getting rid of backdoor deals for the NSA. It's crazy that we need to pass another act to support the Fourth Amendment as a Bill of Rights. This is something really that the Supreme Court should have just like cut off at the beginning. And so it's asinine, but thank you for your work on it anyway. Also, I think your foreign policy is, for the most part, your wariness of the military-industrial complex, and we're still in South Korea, so I, would not like to make Iraq and Afghanistan just other Koreas where we're there 50 years in the future, making veterans incessantly. Outstanding job. But now on to some other points. HR24 is a bill to audit the Federal Reserve. Many members of, I guess, the Liberty Caucus in El Paso, Texas, have been hounding you. Mainly they want an answer. In the past, you've said that you don't have enough information to make a clear decision on whether you're going to vote for it, yes or no, or co-sponsor it, yes or no. And so many of our members have given you books in the Fed, the law. Some of these books are factual, some of these books are just kind of political theory. Do you need more articles and books on this thing, or this bill is to audit the Federal Reserve? It's not to end it outright. What we see is a private bank, or it's a fascist combination of corporate Wall Street interests matched with the legal monopoly to print money $80 billion a month, which is also theft from taxpayers. I mean, people who save money in banks, if the Federal Reserve prints $80 billion a month, then what's the point of saving your money? You should just spend it right now. And that's kind of the whole mindset of the federal government, is we're $17 trillion in debt and they have no concern over it. Let's audit the Federal Reserve. And if you don't want to do that, then just give us citizens a clear answer that no, you're not interested in that, and we'll move on. The next issue is immigration. Again, I totally understand your compassion, and I think our Creator made us all equal, so a Guatemalan person, I think, should have the same inalienable rights as an American citizen. That being said, that we need to address the push and pull factors. The pull factors of the rhetoric of this administration saying that you will not be sent back right away, whatever, it's just bad rhetoric, and we're paying the cost of it now. And I mean, definitely, I commend the civil organizations that have stepped up to the plate to take care of these people, but it's irresponsible of the administration to have invited pretty much all these people to come on in. There are American citizens that need jobs, and maybe they would go for the hard labor jobs, but there are so many regulations put in place that it's much more beneficial to hire undocumented people. And so this really hurts American citizens who want to work, and the undocumented people can get under the rug, as I see it, and get these jobs. And then the push factors that push them out of Central America, well, I think we need to end foreign aid to almost all the countries, because it just seems to never go to where we think it's going to go. And so it's spent on the military helicopters and whatnot, or it puts up kingpins in Central America or all over the world. So, I mean, get out of these foreign entanglements, in foreign aid, and if you allow just people to work it out themselves, they'll stabilize. But us making kings and winners and losers all over the world is not helping. And I mean, I commend you for your work on co-sponsoring and voting for bills that would allow states like Washington, Colorado, Kentucky to do research, medical marijuana, cannabis for industry, or recreation in Colorado. I commend you for that. But I'd like to see bold leadership. And bold leadership to me is, why haven't you co-sponsored HR499, which ends marijuana as a Category 1 controlled substance? If you want to talk about bold leadership, then just co-sponsor it already. What is the hold that?
Can I take those three and maybe just cut you there? And I'm sorry, but we've got other folks, and maybe if there's additional time, or even if you want to talk after. So, and that may be the limit of my memory to respond to. So I want to give you a straight answer on end of Fed. I'm not going to co-sponsor it.
Okay.
And should it come up to a vote, I will take a much harder look at it. But essentially, the reasons are those that I've given you before. I just don't know enough about it. I know you've given me books, and I appreciate it. But here's kind of my operating philosophy. If I want to be really good in this job and I really want to make a difference, I'm going to pick a few issues where I can really be transformative. And I've essentially chosen veterans issues. I've chosen issues surrounding the border, and I've chosen issues surrounding Fort Bliss and supporting soldiers and families there. As you can probably tell, I'm hopefully voting in a responsible way on NSA stuff. I've even been involved in creating some amendments, but even there, I'm a little bit out of my depth, and I'm relying on folks like Representatives Lofgren and Massey and Mosh, and people that I really respect who feel similarly to you on these other issues. So should that come to a vote where I have to make a decision based on El Paso's interests, that's where I'm going to get up to speed. But limited hours in the day, number of pressing issues, and it's not a satisfying answer to you, I can tell, but I want to give it to you that I'm not going to co-sponsor it. On the Obama policies and immigration, I mean, you're bringing up some really good points, and there is no slam dunk easy answer to this. If you take the logical conclusion of what I just said earlier about, let's care for these 90,000 by the end of the year unaccompanied children, and those that we cannot match with their parents and get them back to their countries of origin, or match them here in the U.S. To parents, they move into Health and Human Services and into our foster care system. And to the point that you raised, which is a good one that you raised earlier, do we have a limited amount of resources, and do they then start to consume some of those resources? The answer is yes, and it is that simple, and so that's something that's difficult about this. And so I don't know what the limit is. Should we find out that there are another 200,000 on the way, does that change our thinking and our response to these children? I think it just raises a level of urgency about resolving the situation in their home countries that have caused this. Again, almost unimaginable how I could ever get to the point to put Ulysses or Molly or Henry on a train by themselves. It is just heartbreaking to mention it. But we've been there before. When the Irish potato crop was failing and people were eating bark and dirt and needed a place to go to, they went wherever they could that was not Ireland. One of those places was the U.S. And those folks, as an O'Rourke, have done okay in this community. And that is what has continued to strengthen and reinvigorate this community. I'm absolutely certain that those children, and let's just be honest, some of them are going to remain in the U.S. for the rest of their lives, are going to be great, productive members of our communities and our societies down the road. And then your last point about drug policy, a great point. And just so there's no hedging around this issue, I fully believe that we should end the criminalization nationally of marijuana, and that we should have a far more rational, responsible policy to regulate and control who has access to a drug that is very popular in this country and very dangerous, especially to kids whose brains are still developing. And I know the principal of Jefferson would agree with me in this. And so I think there's a lot to commend a strategy, as we did in the 1930s, to say alcohol kills people, makes them do stupid stuff when they're drunk, and people get hurt and die due to its effects, and it ruins lives and families. But this prohibition has been more expensive and has frankly not worked. And so we need to go to a more rational strategy. I think that's what we need to do with marijuana. So I'm likely to get on that bill. Frankly, that bill is not likely to go anywhere now. And so I'm trying to put resources and be effective where I can. As you probably know, another surprise amendment passed last month dealing with drug enforcement in those states that have chosen to medicinalize, decriminalize, or legalize. And it's the first time, this amendment's been offered for well over a decade. It's the first time that it's passed, again through the appropriations process of the Department of Justice, to not allow the Department of Justice to enforce national federal marijuana laws in those localities and states that have decided to legalize it at some level. And it passed with at least 60 Republican votes. So I think we're moving in the right direction. To your point, you're right. I'm not very bold on this, and I'm not really a leader in Congress. And I accept the criticism, and essentially that's why I've got my focus. I want to make progress in these areas. So appreciate the points that you brought up, and you've been to a couple of our town halls. Always thoughtful. Your criticism is well taken, and I hope makes me a better representative. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for the very clear answers. I think many of us may still continue to lobby you on HR24, maybe. But thank you for your candor.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.